everyone, Richard Lewis here with another video, and we're going to get back to one of our favorite topics in this channel. It is, of course, esports gambling, particularly skins gambling. And again, if you're new to the channel, because it's growing all of the time, let's just clarify our position, and that is that, we thought the unregulated skins gambling was a problem. That is, of course, not the royal we, that is Sam, he's here. We obviously broke some stories, including Phantom Lord, and we concentrated on everything that was happening around that, and there's a lot of videos in this channel. It's very comprehensive in our coverage of the issue, including, the T. Martin incident and all of these people who owned sites and how they operated. It was basically a get-rich-quick scheme. I think there was a lot of people being exploited. There was a lot of non-disclosure. It was a bit of a fucking mess. And we've been covering the fallout of that mess. And I understand, obviously, I'm from Britain. I don't have a problem with gambling at all, as long as it's regulated and legal. Obviously, that's very important. And now we're starting to find out about the impact of skins gambling, which all went on basically without any real kind of influence or interference from Valve for a long period of time. And now we're starting to see the repercussions of that. So there was a press release put out just today at the time of recording this video by the State of Washington Gambling Commission, which basically has made it absolutely clear that Valve have to stop what they say is facilitating gambling. So this is big news. Now, obviously, we know that Valve had taken steps towards solving this problem and addressing these issues. They sent out cease and desist letters. They turned off some of their bots for some of their companies. They did take steps towards fixing this problem. But this is the next step. This is an official press release by the State of Washington Gambling Commission, basically giving them a deadline and wanting to know what their long-term strategy is. So we'll just read the press release for you here as it is. It's not too long. The Washington State Gambling Commission has notified Valve Corporation that it must immediately stop allowing the transfer of virtual weapons known as skins for gambling activities through the company's Steam platform. The Gambling Commission contacted Valve Corporation in February 2016. So keep that in mind, because this is October, right? Regarding its Counter-Strike Global Offensive video game and players' ability to use skins in online gambling activities contrary to state gambling laws. At the time, the Gambling Commission attempted to learn about Valve's operation of skins on its Steam platform to determine if any additional action was needed. Since February 2016, skins continue to be used as consideration for illegal gambling activities on third-party websites. Skins transactions are usually facilitated within Valve Corporation's Steam platform. All third-party gambling sites have Steam accounts and use the Steam platform to conduct their gambling transactions. These gambling transactions are automated and performed by a software program or bot and have proliferated so much that a recent market report by Esports Betting Report indicates that one specific gambling website, CSGO Lounge, brought in approximately $1 billion in skin gambling between January the 1st and August the 1st this year alone. And we're going to cover the findings of that report in a separate video. Based on the information it has gathered, the Gambling Commission directed Valve Corporation to stop facilitating the use of skins for gambling activities through its Steam platform. The Gambling Commission expects Valve to take whatever actions are necessary to stop third-party websites from using skins for gambling through its Steam platform system, including preventing these sites from using their accounts and bots to facilitate gambling transactions. Valve Corporation has until October 14, 2016 to respond and explain how it is in full compliance with Washington's gambling laws, or it will risk having the Gambling Commission take additional civil or criminal action against the company. Again, important thing to note before we're talking about civil actions. We're talking about class action lawsuits that Valve and some of these other people that operated sites like T. Martin, like Phantom Lord, there were civil suits. This is criminal action being talked about against Valve Corporation. This is a big deal. Washington State Gambling Commissioner Chris Stearns said, in Washington and everywhere else in the United States, skins betting on esports remains a large, unregulated black market for gambling, and that carries great risk for the players who remain wholly unprotected in an unregulated environment. We are also required to pay attention to and investigate the risk of underage gambling, which is especially heightened in the esports world. It is our sincere hope that Valve will not only comply, but also take proactive steps to work with the Commission on future measures that will benefit the public and protect consumers. The Washington State Gambling Commission was created to protect the public by ensuring that gambling is legal and honest. And that's indeed what it says underneath their masthead. So lots to really get into here. And just so you know, we're going to do another video, catch up with Bryce Blum, attorney at law, somebody who has addressed this issue before, who's going to be writing some articles about it. We are going to record a video with him, an interview with him. But just to give you our initial impressions and our initial thoughts about the key things here. So this is, first of all, I think it's interesting to note that this is a U.S. government entity ordering a company to effectively shut down an API. They're saying in unequivocal terms that this has to stop. We've got to take proactive steps now to ensure this doesn't happen. And I find it intriguing that they first contacted Valve in February, because that was before a lot of these scandals hit. You know, that was before people really had a handle on what was going on behind the scenes with some of these sites. So again, it points to perhaps some of this could have been avoided. You know, but again, I don't necessarily blame Valve for that. Like myself, I'm sure they weren't aware of some of the things that were going on. You know, I had no idea that people were running some of the scams that they were running. I had no idea that people were abusing the provably fair system. I had no idea that people weren't disclosing ownership of websites. I had no idea that people were rigging outcomes. You know, I didn't know. I couldn't believe people would be so fucking stupid, so fucking greedy to kill what could have been a golden goose and moneymaker and something that could have helped grow the scene collectively. I can't believe people didn't take proper measures to ensure that there wasn't underage gambling going on, because that's the one thing that was always going to bring the hammer down. So that's crazy. And of course, we've got this kind of issue as well where, you know, Valve's famously flat managerial system could have factored into this, because obviously who calls this, who says, yeah, we're going to shut down the API, who says this, you know, who's going to make that decision? And that's been one of the things, you know, like you've got to be kind of autonomous when you're an employee at Valve, and people might have different views, different opinions. One person might have thought, yeah, we should shut this down. Another Valve employee might go, nah, this is actually not as serious as people make out, you know, and who's going to take ownership for this problem? So I think that's an issue. Also, the cease and desist letter doesn't seem to have been comprehensive. They issued it to the sites. The sites went down. They came back. They are operating. Sure, a lot of them are using cryptocurrency now. So a lot of them aren't using bots. Some still are. Some never even went down. Some just said, well, we weren't included in the letter. And even though it was quite clear, precedent was being set with the cease and desist, they didn't take any action. They didn't take the appropriate action. So now this letter is saying this is all got to fucking stop. Shut it down.
Show's over, folks.
Show is over. Let's pack up the fucking lemonade stand. You don't have a license. And Valve are going to have to, again, to be in compliance with this order, they are going to have to ensure that these companies cannot use their bots, cannot use the Steam API, cannot use skins. That's what I'm taking from this. I'm pretty sure I'm correct in my interpretation.
Yeah, at least as far as be active in stopping it. Maybe not ensure, like if someone gets away with it, I doubt it's their bad, but they need to be active in making sure they can't use the bots minimally.
Now, there was a discussion going on Reddit. Obviously, this is big news. I mean, I think a lot of people are kind of mistaken in thinking this isn't new news. This is actually important. This is a much more severe statement. that hasn't been made before. So this is actually new. This is a game changer. Yes, Valve have taken steps before. Now those steps are going to have to be a bit more definitive and comprehensive, or certainly they're going to have to outline why their steps that they've already taken are supposedly definitive and comprehensive to the Washington State Gambling Commission. Now, obviously, we've got lots of friends on this show. Ryu, obviously from Selfless being one of them. Him and Bryce Blum, who we've just referenced, we're having a chat about it on Reddit. And this is what I agree with them. I think this is a super interesting case. This actually is now getting us to a point where all this litigation is coming to a head, and we're going to see some definitive action from Valve. I mean, this certainly should be the end of skins gambling in the form that we know it. And then what does that usher in? Do we get sports bookies coming in that are regulated, that are legal, like sports books that operate out of Nevada? Are they going to come into esports now because there's going to be an opportunity there? What's it going to do to the face of sports betting? Because esports betting, because I imagine people still want to place bets, still want to gamble on the outcome of results. Is it going to be cash only? It looks like it's going to have to be. Or is it are we going to have cryptocurrency? Are we going to have virtual casino chips? Like what is going to happen in the aftermath? This is like super interesting. So you can see here, there's a comment from Bryce Blum on Reddit about this, and he says, yeah, I agree, it's super interesting. And he says, we don't really have a lot of information, so we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. He says the key paragraph in that statement is based on the information it has gathered. The Gambling Commission directed Valve Corporation to stop facilitating the use of skins for gambling activities through its Steam platform. The Gambling Commission expects Valve to take whatever actions are necessary to stop third-party websites from using skins for gambling through its Steam platform system, including preventing these sites from using their accounts and bots to facilitate gambling transactions. And Bryce says, we don't know exactly what they're looking for, though it does seem clear that sending cease and desist is insufficient within the eyes of the commission. That's what Valve have already done. How far will Valve be expected to go to stop facilitating gambling with skins is now the key point of discussion between parties. And this is, of course, it should be understood, but in case you don't realize this, obviously state-to-state regulation. So this would only apply to Washington State. Other commissions would have to follow. With precedent there, they most likely would. They'd certainly find it a lot easier. It's Washington that are the ones that are kind of being the standard bearers for this particular charge. And it says, and Bryce continues in his comment, he says, it's important to remember gambling is regulated at both state and federal level, which is how we wound up with the whole DFS mess. So it's legal in some states and not in others. And he says it's interesting to note the commission's possible actions here, as noted in the actual letter sent to Valve. The actions could include seizure and forfeiture of any property related to illegal gambling activities, forfeiture of Valve Corporation's corporate charter, and possible criminal charges brought against individual employees, for facilitating the above referenced illegal activities. And this isn't a lawsuit. So there's no way for Valve to argue the commission lacks the jurisdiction. You can't wriggle out from under it this way, because this is the state level. They are there to enforce these gambling laws. They absolutely do have jurisdiction. And just to show you, Will Green, who does some amazing work, like seriously, this guy is a guy who covers sports business, sports betting. Will is really, really dedicated to this, talented, does great work. You should totally follow him on Twitter. It's at WFC Green. But this is the tweet where he put out, and it shows that letter that was sent to Valve. And we'll just bring that up. And you can see here, Valve Corporation must cease violating Washington state gambling laws. Valve Corporation must immediately stop facilitating the use of skins for gambling activities through its Steam platform. Valve Corporation must take whatever actions are necessary to stop third-party websites and blah, 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 all the stuff about bots. It says Valve has until October the 14th to provide a response with supporting evidence showing the steps it has taken to bring the company into full compliance. If Valve fails to comply, the Washington State Gambling Commission will exercise its authority under state gambling laws, which could include seizure and forfeiture of property, forfeiture of Valve's corporate charter, and possible criminal charges. And it says here, the Gambling Commission's goal is to obtain voluntary compliance with gambling laws and regulations without having to take additional action. We appreciate your support in achieving this goal, and expect you will voluntarily comply by taking all necessary steps to stop the transfer of skins for gambling purposes through your Steam platform. And there's a number in the letter there. So shit got real. I mean, there's no fucking dressing this up. The Washington Gambling Commission here have literally said to Valve, if you do not put a stop to this, this could go criminal. We could seize assets. We can take away your corporate charter, which would have a huge impact on how they operate in America. So now there is absolutely no doubt whatsoever that skins gambling is going to have to become a thing of the past. That until there has been time for states to look at it, how it's regulated, incorporated into existing gambling laws, it's just shut down. That's it. And I honestly do believe, and we'll certainly talk more about it with Bryce when we get him on the show, but I certainly believe this will be the end of it. Other states will follow suit once this has been resolved. And ultimately, for the gambling business, the gambling industry that's in existence, they'll be rubbing their hands. I'm telling you. I've talked to a lot of these people. I've given my expertise, if you will, to regulated and legal gambling companies. I've talked to a few, and what they've been waiting for is for the marketplace to resolve itself, is for skins gambling to end, is for underage gambling to be addressed, for it to go away. And they're going to come in and offer an alternative, a legal alternative for adults. Now, that can be great because ultimately, and I've said this for years, legal and regulated gambling will grow any sport that it's attached to. Everybody loves to place a bet on a game. The problem we had in esports was that people who were gambling were people who were directly involved. That's a big no-no. There was underage gambling. There was gambling going on in some sort of black market part of it, using a currency that people didn't even know if it had real monetary value or not, even though people were selling that currency for real monetary value. The whole thing was a shit show. And that's why regulated gambling companies stayed away, because they all looked at that and they said, this is only going to end one way. We'll wait until, we'll come in and help pick up the pieces, but we don't want to get involved and tarred with that brush. Now, again, what this means moving forward for some of the people that have been involved in some of this, because it's not just Valve. You've got to be clear here. All the people who operated sites, all the people that were involved in any of these scandals, I don't know. I mean, shit, like it's a nervous time to have been people that made money from this type of business, because it's going to start with Washington State. I think it's going to go on. I think this is serious. This is serious, and it's super interesting to see how it's going to get resolved. Anyway, we won't take up too much more of your time. We wanted to bang this out, let you know it was out there. We're certainly going to get Bryce Blum on the show. He's going to address some of the issues we brought up, some of the statements we brought up, and I guess on October the 14th, we're going to have another video clarifying what the fallout might be, whether people are going to try and challenge this. Who knows? But it's super interesting, if not a tumultuous time in the world of Counter-Strike. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching the video. We'll see you next time.